Greetings! Once again, we're back in one of my favorite spots, the rose garden, and I hope you can see through the camera's eye how amazing it is right now. I suspect you can hear the birds singing as well. Hopefully you will have a chance to get out to the garden and enjoy it during its full glory. I know a lot of you also have had problems with rose rosette, and it continues to be a problem here in the Metroplex. And if you have any concerns or are trying to diagnose it yourself, please call me, Pam Smith, 972-919-2625, and I will gladly come out to your home and help you identify it. In the meantime, I still believe roses are a good plant, but I also recognize that many of you are looking for other alternatives to get a little bit of color, to get a little bit of pizzazz in your landscape. So I went out and I tried to find one or two plants, and as you can see, I probably exceeded this, but I want to sort of talk about each of these and how they might fit into your landscape at home. I'm going to start right here with Nandina. This is a new cultivar out on the market. As you can probably see, Southern Living is promoting it. This particular one is called Obsession. And unlike some of the other earlier introductions, this has a stronger red color. I have found that it colors up gloriously in the winter months, and you will get bits and pieces of that red all throughout the growing season. It's a compact plant, probably about 3 foot tall max, which means a very low maintenance plant for you in terms of pruning. Highly recommended. It is sterile, so it doesn't have some of the same problems as your traditional Nandina. It's not going to spread, but it is going to give you beautiful year-round color in your garden. Gorgeous against a light-colored brick. A little bit different is this Salvia Gray over here. We call this more of an herbaceous perennial, but I'm going to say it probably goes towards a woody perennial. And what that means is that you're going to have a presence with this plant all season long. You might lose a few leaves in the wintertime, but I promise you, come February, as soon as you're thinking about spring, you will start to get color. This particular one is pink. It also comes in a red, a white, a lavender, and kind of a creamy yellow. I would tell you that I personally believe the pink and the red are the hardiest. It's going to make a mound about 3 foot by 3 foot. It certainly enjoys a good hair trimming in late winter before the spring growth, and that'll keep things nice and compact and keep them from getting so woody. But blooms frost to frost and flushes, just like your roses would do in the garden. If you had a large rose or you have a little bit larger spot, this is an Althea, also known as a rose of Sharon. This would take the place of a very large rose bush in your yard. It is deciduous. I don't think that's going to matter if you're replacing a rose because it probably wasn't important that it have a strong winter presence. This plant's going to grow probably around 8 foot. You can maintain it at 6 foot. This particular one has a light pink lavender flower with a darker pink throat. It's called Minerva. You're going to see this one planted along Marsh Lane where we had our roses that we lost to rose rosette. Hopefully, when it's all said and done, you're going to enjoy this one as much as we've enjoyed the Archduke Charles in the past. Over here, I'm going to change to something that's very purple in color. While it does have a flower on it, it flowers early in the spring, even late winter, very hot pink, fringy looking flower. It's a Loropetalum, or a fringe flower. This particular cultivar is Cherry Blast. Gorgeous foliage. I would tell you a couple of things that I noticed when seeing this plant used around town. Most people see this cute little pot and they put it in a cute little space. Most cultivars of Loropetalum could be pruned almost into small ornamental trees. So when you're selecting your Loropetalum, please look at the cultivar you're selecting and make sure that it's appropriate for the size that you have. This particular one is a more compact one and is going to grow, I believe it said 6 foot to 6 foot. Notice I said this one is compact, 6 to 6. So be really aware of the cultivar that you choose. Cherry Blast is named that because I don't know if y'all can do a close-up on this photo, but see how brightly colored the flowers are? Very attractive in the very, very early spring. It also tends to like an acidic soil. So if you're going to put this in your landscape, I would recommend improving the soil and using an acidifying fertilizer as you're growing it throughout the years. But glorious color, makes a very nice contrast. And speaking of contrast, you can see right here I have it contrasted next to a yellow shrub. This particular one is called Sunshine Ligustrum. It's a compact variety, stays around 3 to 4 foot tall. Really pretty color. I would give it a little bit of afternoon shade, but I've seen it growing in some pretty strong sun. If you get too much shade on it, it's going to lose its yellow coloring. Unlike a lot of privets, which this looks like, this one is sterile. It will not spread throughout your yard. One thing to be aware of is that every once in a while a plant will throw a shoot of solid green. You want to prune that out so that you maintain this beautiful yellow color. Again, this one is Sunshine Ligustrum. You're starting to see it around landscapes all over the place. If you've driven the streets of Farmers Branch at all, you're familiar with this next plant. This is a dwarf crepe myrtle. We use them quite often in our medians. Great color throughout the heat of the summer. The ones we have in our medians are Baton Rouge. It's a weeping miniature crepe myrtle. Not as readily available in the marketplace. The ones that seem to be taking its place are the new Princess series. This particular one is Holly Ann, and it has a very attractive pink flower on it. While I will never tell you to go out and prune a standard crepe myrtle, I will tell you that when you're using these dwarf and miniature crepe myrtles as color, as you're wanting those color hedges, we go in, we prune them very hard in the winter, we let them refoliate, and we get great bloom all season. So don't be afraid to take your shears to these guys early in the spring or late winter and really encourage a lot of new growth for a lot of good blooms. This plant blooms on new wood. That's why you would prune it early in the season. Now down in front of me, this particular plant here is Abelia. Oh, you're probably saying, oh, my grandmother had that. I want something new and modern. Well, there are always new and modern cultivars. This particular one down here is called Rose Creek. It's a cultivar that's going to stay around 3 foot by 3 foot. It puts out very attractive bloom clusters. Not blooms showy like our roses here, but you will get a differentiation in the color, and they're slightly pink. One of the big bonuses about abelias is that butterflies love them. When the monarchs make their migration in the fall, around City Hall, they are covered with butterflies. So if you're looking for butterfly plants and you're into low maintenance, man, abelia certainly hits the spot. I'm hoping that the cameras can sort of pan back to the back and see some of that yellow hedge that's back here behind me. That particular cultivar is kaleidoscope. So like our Sunshine Ligustrum, it also has yellow foliage. So that's another way to get the good contrast in your garden. Lots of different cultivars. Make sure that you read the tag so that you know you're putting the right one in the right place, because some of them will get quite large on you, like 8 foot. So if you're looking for a little spot, little plant for a little spot, make sure you're reading the label. I have also included down here a Texas Star Hibiscus. This particular plant is an herbaceous perennial. It will die to the ground each winter. Unlike this, which is in the hibiscus family, which stays woody. You may find these in all types of flowers. This particular one, the Texas Star, is going to grow probably about 6 to 7 foot tall, have a red flower on it, probably about that size, and the petals are very much separated. 5 petals, and they're just sort of flying up there like a flag. Gets quite tall, very tropical looking. It will take a wetter spot in your yard if you happen to have it. The Texas Star is also now available in a white. Its foliage tends to be a little bit more pure green, whereas you'll notice on this one we've got the lovely burgundy in it. You can also find some that have a different shaped leaf, more heart-shaped and dull, okay? Because if you get into the tropical hibiscus, they have a shiny leaf and they are not winter hardy. But there are plenty out there that are winter hardy, and some of them will have flowers the size of a dinner plate. They typically run in your pinks and your whites and your reds in terms of color. Right plant, right spot, read the label. Then over here is another butterfly and pollinator magnet. This particular one is called Henry Dahlberg. It's a salvia. It dies to the ground in the winter but comes back very full, very reliably, and starts blooming quite early in the spring. I believe mine at home have been in bloom for several weeks now, and it will bloom all the way to frost. It does have a tendency to reseed. You can count that a blessing, or you can count that as an opportunity to get down close and personal with the soil as you weed, but it will spread a little bit. And like I said, it blooms all season long. There is also a white version called Augusta Dahlberg. It's great if you're growing one of those white gardens that's particularly enjoyable in the evening. Perhaps you don't have the time during the day to enjoy that you typically are out there in the evening. Consider doing an all-white garden. It will add a touch of a magic, I believe, to your experience. Well, these are just a few of the many plants that are out there that will enhance your landscape. They'll all provide something different. As you're selecting what to use, remember the mature growth pattern of that plant. Look and see how the colors work with each other. I mean, look at this. We've got the burgundy foliage, we've got the red flowers, and then this one up here is going to come up higher and have the pink flowers. What a lovely combination that makes. Think about all of these aspects when you're working in your yard. And remember, if you have a problem with your roses and you'd like for me to come out, please don't hesitate giving me a call. Together, if we all work together, we can get the city free of rose rosette and get back into the business of growing a flower we love so much. Hope to see you out in the garden. It's pretty dang amazing right now. Have an amazing day. Thank you.